Welcome back to the Proximity is Power podcast. We got Dylan Blake in the house today. Dylan?
Super excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Gage.
Dude, super stoked. A little bio on Dylan. He's from South Carolina. Him and I actually met when we were both working at Aptiv a couple years back. Dylan worked there from 2016 to 2022, and in his career, they did over $25 million in career revenue. His best year being $8 million, which is freaking baller. Dylan owns a few patents as well, and he owns over $2 million worth of real estate. Right now, his main focus and what he's really working on is he owns a custom suit and menswear company where they do anything from suits to shoes to jewelry. So, Dylan Blake, welcome to the show, bro.
Yeah, it's been a minute, Gage.
Yeah,
how have you been?
I'm excited to catch up, bro. So, going back, Dylan, you grew up in South Carolina. So, what was like childhood like for you?
So, I have like a super interesting childhood. You know, I feel like people in Utah have like these like phenomenal families. And I think in my situation, I grew up in a pretty broken home. Both of my parents had quite a few different like mental disorders and difficulties that they struggled with. And so, yeah, it was a pretty unique childhood, but I think it enabled me to mature, grow, and achieve later in life, actually.
So growing up, what were your like hobbies?
So I love skateboarding. I mean, I love like what it does. Like it's definitely like more of a like you against like the obstacle rather than like a team sport, but it taught me a lot of like consistency, taught me a lot of different things. So yeah, it was really fun.
Heck yeah. Did you know what you wanted to do when you were little?
So I always thought that I'd be somebody. Like I've always had this like nagging itch where I thought, you know, deep inside that, you know, I was meant to do big things. And, you know, I think that stems from, you know, in that childhood, like there was a lot of like loneliness. There was a lot of like absence of people, especially my parents. So my dad was, you know, frequently in and out of my life. And, you know, he would have, you know, a meltdown and he would be gone for an undisclosed amount of time. It could be 3 months, 6 months, a year. I wouldn't even see my dad. And then my mom, just to keep us afloat, she'd work 2 and 3 jobs. And so I bring this up because I think inside, like that created like a lot of insecurities, just being at home by myself. And it created this need for validation, which I actually thought, and I think at some points is actually a superpower. If you channel it right. Like you've got the Tom Brady's of the world who, you know, have this chip on their shoulder. They want to prove people wrong. And I feel like I developed that because of this. And, you know, there's also the negative side where, you know, you really want to fit in, you know, and you fall into wrong crowds and you make poor decisions. And so I've seen both sides of this validation and how it's benefited me and how it's also led me down some thorny paths.
Wow. So I totally hear you with that. Like, yeah, you just have this huge like drive to go show everybody that you're worthy of love and like worthy of like big things in life. So tell us about childhood. Like what were you kind of like doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, dude, just to give you guys a full like grasp, both of my parents have schizophrenia, both of them. So
what's that for those people that don't know?
Well, there's 2 forms of schizophrenia. There is like the hallucinations and, you know, people talk about hearing voices. And so my dad suffered from that, you know, to a very, very extreme end. And he had a lot of difficulties. So he drowned out his sorrows and his issues with alcohol and drugs just to cope with what he was experiencing.
Wow.
And on the other side, this auditory version my mom has where it's basically like a conspiracy theorist on steroids, where they make these crazy correlations. It's like a constellation that doesn't really connect. And so my childhood again was super unique because of that, where I just saw things that like children shouldn't see. And so skateboarding just kind of became an outlet to me, where like I just used that. I ended up developing a friend group. And yeah, the majority of my time was just like me developing on my own, like not really having parents.
Wow. And after high school, you joined the church, didn't you?
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So, over time, like I've always had this like yearning to know God. And, I went to this Baptist church when I was like 12 to 14. And my best friend at the time, still my best friend, he's LDS. And we would just have these quarrels and these contentions about who was right and who was wrong. And, after, a few moments of spiritual experiences, I like learned that the church was true myself. And it was kind of like a safe harbor for me. I had like all this insecurity and all this pain and all this difficulty growing up with the situation, I was facing with my parents. And this just created so much like safety. Like that's what the church is for me, is like, it's this grounding space with all these amazing principles that if you build your life on them, like you can truly thrive. And so I just saw that at a super young age, where I just had this yearning to know God and in the church and to have that form of safety.
Yeah, I totally hear that. So after high school, is that when you found the church, or were you still in school?
Yeah, I was in my senior year in high school.
Heck yeah. So you graduate high school, and what are you kind of thinking at this point about life and your plan?
I still have that nagging itch that I'm going to do something great, and I don't really know what it is. I went from like being like excelling at whatever I did. I'm not the person that's very gifted, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm someone who has to fight like tooth and nail, claw my way. It takes me time, but once I figure it out, like I end up becoming, what I sought out to become. And I'm really grateful for that. And I haven't always understood, and I've been frustrated, where it's like you see these guys in door to door where they throw, $500K or golden door their first year. That's not me. I feel like everything in my life has been this like refiner's fire in this process. And so I still had this nagging itch when I was in high school, and I did all sorts of different things. Like I wanted to excel in skateboarding. And then I actually started, this is going to sound kind of funny, but I love rapping. Like I love freestyling. And that's why it's kind of interesting. I got the podcast anxiety right now because I love to freestyle.
Let's hear some freestyle rap from you.
Just right now?
Yeah.
Just off the cusp?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me drop a couple hammers. You know that I got this. You know that I got so much up in my pocket. I'm talking these dollar bills. You know that I keep it real. You know that I go in with the skill. I'm flowing like humans have gills.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That was really good, dude.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, no, I love to freestyle. I didn't think I'd be freestyling on a podcast, but
that's freaking sick.
Yeah. That makes for a fun time. But yeah, eventually, like, that's what I wanted to do. Like, I either wanted to be a professional skateboarder, or I wanted to be a lyricist, and I was just going all in on these things. And I just had a few moments where, like, God touched my heart, and he was like, no, like, you need to serve a mission. Like, this is your path. And I, like, refuted it. And I'm so grateful that I did. Like, those 2 years are some of the most cherished years of my life. Where I was basically in this like incubator of growth for these 2 years, where I just learned people skills. I learned how to communicate. I learned how to get along with other people. Again, keep in mind, like a lot of my childhood, I was completely alone. And so to develop these things. And
where'd you serve?
I served in Portland.
Oh, heck yeah. Orland.
Yeah. It's crazy out there. Really great people, but really crazy experiences.
What do you feel like the big lessons you learned on your mission?
Like outside of like knowing that Jesus is the Christ, and knowing like if you follow the principles of the gospel, your life will be blessed. Outside of that, like more of the nuances of it, I definitely just like primary things like keeping a schedule. And like when you're consistent in that schedule, when you wake up at the same time, when you go to bed at the same time, when you put God first every single day, like it's just this thing where your life just creates this momentum. But also just like you have all these companions and all these different personalities that you have to learn how to be compatible with. And there's a lot of difficulty in that. And there's a lot of ego because you're like this 19, 20, 21-year-old kid and you think that you know best and not always do you. And that's honestly some of my regret. Like I was like this bull on my mission because I wanted to be the best. I had this chip on my shoulder. Even though I joined the church and it was for like a righteous cause, I still wanted to, like be all that I could be as a missionary. And in that process, like one of those things is like, I feel like I didn't listen to my companions and I didn't understand them. And I kind of dragged them through the mud. And like looking back on that, I think that that's one big thing that, I think we could all do better in our relationships is trying to understand and listen to the person that's in front of you instead of having the need to be right, that your way is the only way. I mean, you look at entrepreneurship, how often is your way the only way?
Right.
Never. Like everybody has their own path and their way of thinking. And that's what makes life so diverse. And so that's one of my favorite things is just like learning people and just even like who you're communicating with. You want to teach a lesson, but sometimes you need to go a different route and you need to make sense of the situation in a different light instead of like what you want to say.
I feel like it's really cool that like for the people that did go on a mission, I didn't go on a mission, but I feel like it's like the graduation to manhood. Like the boy becomes a man,
100%.
On a mission. And I feel like that's one way to do it, but door to door is also another way to do it. And I feel like door to door taught me so much that I thought I was a man before it, but then it broke me down to my, my core and
crying on the curb.
Yeah, crying to my parents, crying to my cousin. Yeah, you know how it is. So, dude, I love that. So you went on a mission, learned a lot, and then you got back. And then what'd you do next?
So then, I booked a one-way flight from South Carolina right when I got home. I didn't even have an apartment. I was just ready to take on Utah. I had a few companions from my mission out here. So I was like, man, I'm just going to build a life. And I'm so grateful I did, like getting out of that comfort zone again.
Wow.
And, I literally the day before the flight, I finally found an apartment. It was a 6-man apartment. And funny enough, my first apartment just had some characters where like that was a trying experience and I didn't have a car. And so just instantly I went from like this safe space to, okay, now I need to make my way. Like, and I need to figure it out quickly because I have no money. I have no car. And so fortunately I started working at this call center called ClearLink, and they basically sell like TV, phone, and internet services, third party in a call center. And this is like my first like grasp at sales. And it was just revelatory for me. Like truly, like I grew up doing just like grunt work for $10 an hour, just getting the life beat out of me doing construction, doing food and bev. I probably had like 4 or 5 different jobs growing up that paid me next to nothing. And so even this call center, although it wasn't like grandiose and it wasn't crazy income yet, it was just an amazing experience to realize like if I put in the time, like I could get a return outside of just the hourly pay. And so before long, like I started making 20, 25 an hour just in this call center. And life has this interesting way of like nudging you to the next rung on a ladder. And after, a few months, God kind of nudged me in the right direction by having someone at this call center who had done door-to-door sales basically offer me like a meeting to come in and chat and learn more. And, I just sent it. I was like, wait, I could make 50 grand in a summer? Like what do I have to lose? I think a lot of these guys, like, I've taken hundreds of meetings. I think they got in their head about like what could happen. And I'm like, dude, worst case scenario, you go back home.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, you come out with a treasure trove of skills, opportunities, financially independency. And so, yeah, I went out.
And that was with Aptive.
Yeah, that was with Aptive.
What year was that? 2016.
2016.
Okay. Heck yeah.
When was your first year?
2017. So yeah.
Yeah.
A year before me.
Yeah. I remember we met in preseason in 2018.
Yeah.
So your second summer.
Yep, I remember.
That was your big breakout year. That was awesome.
So yeah. So tell us about that first summer.
So that first summer, I have this whole buildup to, how amazing being paid what your worth is. And I completely bombed my first summer.
Why do you think?
So I actually went home early.
Wow.
So I went home after 2 months, like right after 4th of July, and I was just broken. And I'll tell you like the number one reason why. I felt like on my mission, I was one of the hardest working missionaries. And then I get out there and I'm kind of this lazy sack, and I don't really know why. And it's because the person who recruited me was like, basically he went out there for 6 weeks just to set up me and like 5 other guys, and then he was going to leave. It was this really interesting dynamic to where like he set us up with, our iPads and, went out and shadowed us, and he helped me get my first sale. But then after that, he was just sitting at the apartment.
Wow, just not working, not leading at all.
Yeah, and so he wasn't even the main leader, but that's who I respected, right? That's who like I trusted. That's who I knew made $40,000 the previous summer. Like I saw the pay stubs.
Yeah, he's the guy that brought you out.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there like so pumped. And I go out there and it's a completely different experience. And it doesn't mean I don't have my own agency and I didn't make the decisions to also not knock, but it made it very difficult.
It's way harder. Proximity is power of poison, So like if you're around people that aren't doing like good, then it's going to be way easier to not like to follow suit.
Yeah. And so my first summer I went home early. And fortunately, this is super rare, but fortunately, I had the best regional in the world. I still revere. His name's Sam Swinson.
Yeah.
And honestly, he didn't take my back in. He could have. And he just said, dude, like, let's run it back. And I'm like, wow. Like, this dude must have saw, like, something in me, right?
For sure.
Which is just a really cool thing. And so, unfortunately for Sam, I actually go to a different company my second year, because I feel like I just need this fresh start. I didn't even know I was going to do it again. And then again, just like right before the second summer, it was just this nudge again, like this call to action, this like movement in me that was like, dude, you need to do this again. And so I go out and I go to this company, this smaller company, and I'm the number 1 rep in the whole company. And I sell 350 accounts and like a 440 CV. But that's how it was back then in 2017. And then I knew like, wow, if I wanted to like do this at scale and I wanted to be better, like I needed Sam and I needed Aptive and I needed like a place where like there could be enough space to like house enough reps, and there could be a training platform for leadership to where I could excel. So I actually came back to Aptive after that summer.
Wow. And what do you feel like changed summer 1 to summer 2? Just being in a new environment, new people.
Well, I'll tell you this, like, it's because I knew the movie. Like I knew what to expect. I'd already watched it and I had already participated. And so because of that, I already knew where I went wrong and where I could do better. And so going into that second summer, I just kind of followed my script of what not to do. Like if I feel like not knocking, I just do it anyway. Like just go for it and keep knocking and keep striving. And, it was interesting because I didn't really have a leader there either. And, like I became the leader, of the whole company. I set the pace. And so I think that was the biggest thing is like, I just knew what to expect. And so when you know what to expect, you have a lot more to prepare with.
Yeah, I feel like discipline is such a key in life and success. Like just doing stuff.
Yeah.
When you don't feel like it, like motivation,
life.
Right? Like motivation comes and goes, but like if you're disciplined and you just do it, even when you don't feel like it, like and stack those days and then weeks and then months and then years, and then you can look back and be proud of like what you did. So love that. So you get back into Aptive, and how was that first year back at Aptive? Did you lead a team?
So I recruited about 15 guys,
Uh-huh.
and I told you this process of just how I have to fight, and it's not like I'm this phenomenal leader. I am actually terrible at leading. You know, I'm one of those guys who dates a girl on the team, prioritizes this relationship. I sell the same amount of accounts, and my guys know, they can feel that like I would rather prioritize this relationship than my people. And so basically going into year 4, I have to rebuild because all my guys sell like 100 accounts.
Yeah, don't do well.
And going into the 4th summer, the same exact thing happens. This is my big breakout year as far as personal sales. I only have about 9 weeks to sell, and I sell 400 on the dot. And I had about 15 guys go out, and the same exact thing happened where I didn't learn my lesson. And, you know, I didn't care for my people. So I think if there is one thing that you can get from this entire podcast, I'm about to say it. So I go into my 5th summer, and I actually don't even want to do it anymore. I have some other things like, you know, on the stove.
You're starting to watch company.
Yeah. You know, I have this little invention that I've been working on that I feel like is going to pop off. And I'm kind of at this like crossroads. And I don't know if I'm even going to do summer sales again. And so I take like a month or 2. It's actually that latter half of that summer because I'm back. And I just have this kind of like experience just through my thoughts in this period of time where I said, I'm going to do it one more time, and I'm going to do it differently because I haven't really given this a fair shot, and I've only prioritized myself. Every year, it was just about more income, more status, being the best. That's all that mattered to me. And because of that, again, my people felt that. These 15 people that, you know, it was just like clockwork. I would recruit every year, and the same thing would happen. And so I just made this decision, going into this 5th summer, that I would be the best leader in the entire industry. Come hell or high water, I would serve my guys, and I would put them above myself. And I would ensure that they could taste more success than I ever could my 1st or 2nd or 3rd year. And it was like walking on water. Like as I went to recruit and as I went to teach and train these reps, and we went from, you know, those 15 reps where one of them came back to recruiting 40 guys. And these 40 guys weren't normal guys. 15 of them hit 250 accounts to 500 accounts. 3 reps hit 500 accounts their first summer. I had never personally hit 500 accounts myself until that summer. And so that's the biggest takeaway of my entire pest control career is if you put people first, like, I don't even have words. Like, everything happens for you when you care about people.
What did that look like? Like, how did a day in that summer look different from all the other days?
That's a phenomenal question. I mean, when I said I gave everything, like let's just even talk about the build up to the summer. My main guy, he didn't even have a car. And so I would drive to him. Like a lot of you think that you're bigger than your reps and that they need to come to the office. And I just said no. Like if it's in between classes, I'll meet him at BYU. If it's, 7 a.m. and that's the only moment that this specific recruit could train, then I'll do that. And I told myself there will not be a single person that will not have 2 one-on-ones with me a week. If you do the math on that, as it got closer to the summer, that was 60 to 80 one-on-ones a week. Wow. One-on-ones. That is not additional recruiting meetings.
Yeah.
I was busier than I could imagine. And I was like so happy and so at peace because finally, like, I saw the momentum and I saw, like, again, when you put things that truly matter first, again, we have this philosophy in my suit company that we believe in something called an ROE, a return on experience. and then the I will come. Then the investment comes. And subconsciously, I was learning this ROE mentality where if I could provide my guys the greatest experience, then the investment would come later. And so it's all about this concept of, instant gratification versus delayed gratification. And I think so many guys in this industry, they just think about breaking 6 figures or multiple 6 figures or 7 figures, and they lose sight and they want it now. And so they burn a lot of bridges, they push a lot of people away. And I was in that same exact position where I was burning bridges unintentionally, just simply because I had the wrong mentality. I was thinking about the ROI and not the ROE. So that was big. So anyway, that's the build up to the summer. In the summer, I mean, a leader, it's tough as a leader. Like, it's not, sunshine and rainbows and this happy-go-lucky experience and, having to tell your reps, like, there's going to be plenty of points that you hate me. Because, like, I care more about your success than you do. Like, you haven't seen or experienced the movie. I have now 4 other times going into this 5th summer. And so I know it's going to yield success. And so, man, when they wouldn't sell 2, like within a day, they'd come in at 7 a.m. And then we'd have our morning meeting at 7:45. By 8:30, we were driving out to the doors. And I tell you, it was this weird thing because literally outside of one person, every single person was a first year. Do you know how many people complained about that?
About what?
About like that schedule, that level of knocking schedule.
How many?
0. They didn't know any different.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that when you do know different, you complain and you make a scene and it has to be a certain way. But these guys knew no different. And so we just had this, again, magical experience where like 3 first years sold 8 their first day. And it was God just telling me, like, this is what it's all about. Like, you prioritize these people and I'm going to show you what this job can really do. And so I think it would be also unfair to tell you, not like what happened financially. Because I want to tell you, like, because I focus so hard on this ROE, like with my every intention, the I came. In fact, I almost doubled all of my previous summers combined in one singular summer.
Isn't that crazy?
It's just insane.
Wow. That's amazing. And I bet all your people made way more than ever too.
They actually were those reps who made 30 to 40 grand.
Yeah.
You know how these companies, are per rep averages, but no, they actually all made 30, 40, a handful of them. The guys who sold, 500 counts made 6 figures. They really did. It was such an amazing experience. So,
dude, that was amazing, by the way. Like, really cool. Cause like you just flip the switch on. Instead of putting you first, you put your people first. And it's like the golden rule, and it's like, it seems so simple for people that haven't like done it and been in it. But like, I was the same way, dude. I like my sales, I can't control what they do. Me.
Yeah.
Or whatever they do is bonus. Right. And I feel like most people at first, when like they graduate high school or college, it is all about them, because you kind of have to pay, like, have your head above water, pay your own bills before you can really focus on other people. But I just like, I had way more money to like pay my bills and everything, and I was still trying to like me, right? Like a lot of people I see in the industry. And so,
well, they'll keep a guy out, that there is probably on pace to sell 30 accounts in the whole summer. You don't care about that guy. You care about the couple dollars that you're going to make. And the irony behind that for, any sales leader who has experienced this, if you would have let him go, you would know that all of your other reps would have performed better.
Amen.
And, that person would have been able to get on dry ground, find himself a stable job quicker than being put through absolute hell.
That's it. That's a freaking gold nugget right there. Yeah. Like, hire quality people and then like let people go that don't fit the culture, don't fit the job. Like, it's not a win for you. It's not a win for them. It's not a win for the team, So that's huge. But I just see like you flip the script and you literally put way more work before the summer and way more work during the summer than most people are willing to do. Cause like, yeah, most leaders maybe meet with their guys once a week or not at all, like maybe once a month, like some of these companies.
So I suit a lot of like door-to-door guys and a lot of door-to-door companies and teams.
Mm-hmm.
And, everyone is trying to grow. And I strive to like provide them this perspective. And so many are just like, dude, I'm just going to start training in January. And I'm like, you just don't get it. Like, you do not understand what it means to like serve your guys at another level. It's not so much about like, training from September to December. It's about putting them first.
Yeah.
It's about creating an experience that they'll remember into January and into the summer. So,
dude, and I'd also say I just listened to a podcast with Nick Saban and it was fire. He was talking to a bunch of coaches at a coaching convention. And he said one of the mistakes that he sees other college coaches make or leadership, like leaders in business or anything, is they don't have a personal relationship with the people they lead. And dude, you do.
Oh, that is heat.
Right? Like most people think they're too big, like you said, for their reps and like aren't willing to like spend time with them to build that relationship. And like you doing 2 one-on-one trainings a week gave you a lot of time to not only train them, but like figure out who they are, what their goals are, and how to make sure that you can help them hit their goal that summer,
Yeah, honestly, it kind of reminds me of that year that Russell Wilson went to the Broncos, where he got his own office and his own jet, and he was like completely separate from the team. And you see how that like funneled into that team.
Yeah.
And obviously there was a lot of media at play as well. But, when you're in the trenches with your guys and you're setting the pace and the example, like it doesn't matter what level of income you get to. When you stop doing that, like the people feel it and they start leaving.
Yeah.
So it's like you always have to constantly be putting your people first at whatever capacity you're at to show them like you mean and you are who you say you are.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Nick Saban. Like this guy is just the epitome of consistency, whether it's off season, whether it's in game, like he is identical in how he is teaching his guys.
Yeah.
And he is serving them identically, of course, in different ways, but as far as like the actual experience he is providing.
And you look at how many coaches have come from his program when he was running there, and like it's insane. Like the ripple effect that Nick Saban's had. Like I used to, my dad's an Alabama fan. I'm like, you're just a bandwagon. But like I always didn't like Alabama because literally every year they were winning the championship.
He just likes greatness.
So freaking good. And you see what's happened to Alabama's program since he's left. Like it's still good, but it's not great like it was when he was there. So definitely, I'll put the link to that podcast. It's one of the best leadership podcasts I've ever heard in the description. But dude, I love that. So you turn the corner in door to door, and you have a breakout year, and then what are you thinking?
So of course I'm thinking like, wow,
let's double down.
Yeah. Let's do this bigger, and I'm going to be very transparent in saying this.
Yeah,
it's this interesting thing that like what you did before, like, is why you're successful, but you can ease off the gas pedal and you can quickly forget. And so I go into this next year, and honestly, my ego inflates. All these guys, at Aptive and in the industry that maybe saw me as kind of like, somebody that, okay, goes and, makes, a humble 6 figures, which I think is phenomenal money. But like, yeah, I wasn't anything to write home about. And so I come back with this ego, especially in my region, and I don't even know that this is happening. But again, we just double down, and I mean, I am chained to that office probably for at least 10 to 12 hours a day.
Dude, I remember coming to the Aptive office to do recruiting meetings sometimes on Saturday morning, and literally nobody's there but Dylan Kelly. Like, I remember.
Yeah, like, no, yeah, like, and so I did want to grow, but like, again, the perspective started to shift where it became, again, like, there was this like, fight, this middle ground in my soul where it was like about more success rather than my guys. And so I say this just transparently because my falling out in the industry has everything to do with me and not the company that I worked for. I think a lot of people at Aptiv, including myself at the time, they wanted, a justification as to why things didn't pan out and, these blue pins. But like, I look at some of these guys like Ryan Myers and Mark Wilmore, and like they have just exploded. So why did they not have the same experience that I did? It's because they kept serving their guys. And so I did have a phenomenal 6 year. And I felt like, there was this kind of split personality where it was like a mix between serving and a mix between, self-serving. And going into my 7th summer, that's when I experienced this falling out. Probably one of like the greatest heartbreaks of like my entire life. Like one of the most difficult, challenging experiences. And I learned so much from that, but like I had shifted back to who I was. But now I have a lot of stuff and properties and supercars and all this stuff that, quite frankly, just isn't important. And your guys, like, whether subconsciously or consciously, they start like feeling that and start knowing like what you're becoming. And so, anyway, I just wanted to mention that transparently because I think this story, most people think like, yeah, I just continue to, go to the next rung, the next level. And yeah, eventually I had 120 guys, the 6th and 7th summer. But that collapse in my 7th summer, I almost made nothing. From like these 2, like, how is this even possible years? Yeah. It was solely because it was God. And I was in a place of humility and I was in a place of, compromise, this quarrel that I had with him. And finally I let go and I served people. And then in that 7th summer, it finally got to that breaking point again, where that transition from my 6th summer to my 7th summer, I just started serving self more than I served my guys.
Wow, dude. And I appreciate you being vulnerable because most people wouldn't even talk about any of this. So, things kind of like pivot, like you kind of pivot out of Aptiv, and what are you thinking after that?
So I go through the greatest hell of my life, and I hope no one ever experiences this. And I just hope everyone who listens to this understands like this platform, this door-to-door experience that you're in right now. If you are in door-to-door, it may not be forever. And you may feel like you're at the top of your company and the top of your game. But this industry is very fragile and, it can get shaky very quick. And, going from like that level of like experience with these guys that I loved so much, and just also like the level of income, and then just flatlining, nothing. Nobody knows who you are. Your guys are gone. There's not more money coming into the bank account. So you start acting and reacting out of fear. Like, and I didn't know that at the time, but I just start trying to like basically throw out all these like fishing lures. And I try, this coaching company where it's like a life coaching business, a dating coaching, style coaching. And, I actually really enjoyed that. And then, it got to a point where some other opportunities on the table, and then I pivot and I start chasing this lady in the red dress because all that I want is to get back to where I was at Aptiv. That is all that I cared about. Can I reach that same level of status? Like, so I'm still sitting in this, like, this pride of who I was in door to door. And it's like, I just can't let go. And so I just try a pre-workout company. I try this coaching business. And I wrote down, I had like 13 opportunities. 3 of them were like $1 million opportunities. I even had a few door-to-door companies offer me just ridiculous amounts of money to move over, even though I had next to nothing. And all of them, ironically, just kept flatlining. And I just felt like God had like just truly abandoned me. Like every one of these opportunities, these $1 million opportunities where we're about to sign on the dotted line. Like I'm talking like Brad Lee at light speed. He's flying me out. Like I don't smoke cigars, but he's hanging out with me at a cigar bar and taking me out to dinner. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is the dream. I'm finally going to be that entrepreneur, and everybody's seeing it, and it doesn't pan out. And then this company brings me in and we're about to sign on the dotted line, and it doesn't work out. And in my anxiousness, I'm just trying to just get back. And so instead of like asking God what I should do, it was just this like, this like, I'm a crab in a bucket trying to pull myself out. And no matter what it is, I'm just going to do it. Whatever comes across my plate, that's how I'm going to make money now. That's how I'm going to escape this. And eventually, like, yeah, people will, you know, respect me again. And, you know, this happened last April, and it's like one of my favorite things that has ever happened to me in my life. And, you know, this is also what life is all about, is when you can finally tell God. So I got on my knees and I just told God, first and foremost, that I'm like super apologetic to like that opportunity and how I squandered it in door to door. But secondly, that like whatever he wants me to do moving forward, that's what I'll do. Whatever his will is for me. And I specifically said this. I said, Lord, if you want me to be a janitor for the rest of my life, then that's what I'll do. Whoever you want me to date, whatever path you want me to take. And I'll put up no fight. That's the realness that you have to get to. If you are in this like tumultuous, chaotic, you know, place in your psyche, he is asking for your everything. And your everything is only your will. Because everything is already his. And so what followed this is like nothing short of a true miracle. Directly following this, I meet this Italian, I'm very much speeding this up. But I had already had a few custom suits, and I loved fashion at this point, this time like April last year. So it hasn't even been a year. And I get this like, you know, after this prayer, a few weeks go by, and it's just like this nudging again. And it's this movement on this ladder, right? Life just has this interesting way of helping you progress to the next thing. And so God knew the entire time, like, you're not solely supposed to be at Aptive. You're not solely supposed to do door to door. And some people are, but like my path is different. And he honestly created an exit for me. And that's what I've like really had peace with. He's like, dude, I helped you so that you could have this. And so a few weeks go by in this thought process of, you know, wanting to figure out this whole suit business and menswear company. And I know nothing. You know, I have a mentor who does suits in the area, and I ask him, but he's very kind of like, you know, I'm doing my thing. Like, you know, go to, you know, Europe and go figure it out. And I don't know if he took me serious or not, but I literally hopped on a plane with one of his suits, and I went into I mean, it must have been 40 different tailoring shops throughout Italy, Spain, Portugal.
Wow.
I had no idea what I was doing.
Just hustling.
Just hustling because I just felt compelled that this is what I wanted to do. And in this trip, I just wanted God's approval. I wanted to know if this is what I should do. And so I set out and I had these 5 criteria for a manufacturer. They needed to be able to do volume. They needed to be able to do quality. They needed to be able to do like diverse products.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I finally figure out this manufacturer in Rome or in Portugal or wherever I was at, like they would hit like 3 of the 5 criteria or 1 of the 5 criteria. And I'm in Europe for 3 full weeks, completely just like, what is happening? And on the very last day, I mean, I get guided. I go into this dress shirt manufacturer and I'm like, okay, like it's over. Like I'm not going to like, and they pull out this garment bag because I tell them the scenario and how I'm looking for this manufacturer and he's hit these 5 criteria. And they pull out this garment bag and they unveil this amazing suit. And they say, you need to go to this manufacturer tomorrow. He never answers his phone, but just show up tomorrow. In fact, you know what? We'll just give him a call. Let's just see. He answers immediately. And he says, no, if he's in town, please like send him. And so I go and it hits all 5 perfectly.
Wow.
And so it was God's like stamp of approval of like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is like your calling in your path right now. Shortly after that, then all of a sudden in Orem, this gentleman by the name of Tommaso, this Italian guy, I had reached out to him right before I got his phone number. And we have created this beautiful partnership. And he's in his 60s and he's been in the industry for 30 years. And he is just the kindest, most humble, like he's literally like just my sounding board. And there's a reason, right? God knows like how I have battled like self and selflessness or selfishness and selflessness. And he's provided me like the coolest, most down to earth, most genuine person. And now we're building what I think will be the next Tom Ford, the next Louis Vuitton, like the next big thing that happens in fashion. And I'm so excited. And what's interesting is when God reveals to you what your thing is, it really is like walking on water. It's not like this, you know, walking uphill with a bag of rocks, hoping that something works and you like, you know, pushing against the grain. It's like everything just starts going smoothly when you finally submit to God. And that's something that I hope to continue to live by. It's very easy to just pivot from that and like think that you know best again. But every time I have that perspective, I mean, just the clients to, you know, the manufacturing to this partnership to, you know, that trip to Europe, everything has been so divinely appointed. And you also have to understand, maybe I'm rambling too much.
No, you're good, dude. This is awesome.
But maybe there's also another point you all need to know is like following your passion is appropriate when you've developed enough skills to follow your passion. I see that quote by Steve Jobs. You know, that quote that says, you know, do what you love and you'll never work another day in your life. And that has robbed the souls of men. That came from someone who was already a billionaire, who just happened to be one of the rare individuals in this world that found what he loved at a very young age. And so we're not all Tiger Woods. And I think the things that come to us later in life, when we have developed the skills, can be our passions and things that, you know, we can do that, you know, excite us, like my suit company. But it took me 10 years from my mission and throughout door to door to finally develop the skills and the awareness to be able to move a company.
And the passion probably for suits and like what it does for people. Yeah.
No, absolutely. You know, just the elevation and the power that comes when you look and you feel your best. We have this saying where it's like, if you look your best, you feel your best. And when you feel your best, you can give the world your best.
I love that.
And that's kind of like one of our main mottos. And so I just say that because, yeah, don't rob yourself of the beauty of whether you're in door to door or the hardship that you're in, if you are developing skills. And one day you will be able to do what you're passionate about. But there is a moment of development and refinement and difficulty in that process of becoming who you're supposed to become. And maybe you're not a type A where you run the company, right? And that's why you should ask God when you have developed the skills of what am I supposed to do now? Because so many people just look at another podcast, they sift through another, book, and they think that like they are that person. And oftentimes it's like, and so anyway, they kick against the pricks and they go against the grain and they end up being very jaded in entrepreneurship. And so develop skills first before you follow your passion. And then when you do follow your passion, you'll excel at your passion.
Dude, I love that. And just thinking about your story and hearing it again, I mean, dude, we've gone to lunch like multiple times through this whole last couple of years.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, it has been. And to see like you like jumping from idea to idea, and I kind of see like it all connecting, right? And something Steve Jobs says too is like, you can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can looking back.
That's a quote that I absolutely love.
Yeah, it's like,
that one's a great one.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, like when you were in it and you were trying to look forward, you're like, I don't understand like how what happened to Aptiv and like all these business startups flatlining or whatever. Like I don't see it. Like I can't see the future. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. It's scary. And like you said, you were going through hell at the time, right? And a lot of people, when they're in the thick of that, like they just get into a victim mentality of like, life's happening to me, this sucks, I'm never gonna figure this out, like God's the worst, right? Or whatever. And then like you went from being a victim to taking ownership and like submitting yourself to God, and now you're becoming the victor of your story. So it's really cool. Dude, so you literally start this custom suit company. And you literally went to Italy. So wait, I have a question? Just it's not that important, but so did you end up using that manufacturer you found in Italy, or did you end up just partnering with the guy in Orem?
So that's a great question. So as time has evolved, that manufacturer has had some chinks in the armor. And so honestly, that whole trip was solely about one thing, and that was like God's approval.
Wow.
And it was about me connecting with Tommaso afterward.
And you going all in too.
So sometimes you feel like you've received answers from God, but it's not even maybe what you expect.
Wow.
I went there and I was like, dude, it's the manufacturer. Like that's, and then I've just realized like that was his way of saying like, you got this.
Wow. I love that. So you start this custom suit company, and you have big dreams of it becoming like a Louis Vuitton or some of these like big companies, which I didn't even know this like until like a couple of years ago, but like Louis Vuitton, like the guy that started it, is that his name?
Yeah.
Literally one of the richest people in the world, like has created such a crazy brand.
Well, he is dead, but.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
When did he die?
I don't remember, but he's been dead for a while.
All right. But still, like.
I'm pretty sure Louis Vuitton was like 1800, like late 1800s.
Wow. But it's so funny because I just went to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery event for the second time, and every single business mastery event he does the same scenario. Like he'll have women throw up their purses and he'll grab two of them, and it's always one Louis Vuitton bag and then just a random bag, right? And he just compares like, what's the real difference between this bag and this bag? Why did this woman buy this bag where the other woman bought this bag? And they just talk about it. And like,
so interesting.
It's so cool. It's seriously so cool. And one woman like that has the cheap bag. She's like, it's convenient. It holds all the stuff I need. It's like it does the job. And then the other person, he's like, why did you buy this bag? And she's like, status, like significance. I want to look cool in front of my friends. Like, and she just like starts getting real about why she bought this bag. And Tony's like, people will pay more for significance. And that's why men try supercars. And that's why men want to buy like nice houses, where women want to buy nice jewelry and nice purses and nice clothes. And so it's a really interesting example, but I just thought of it while you were talking. So, and I think
I really love that, by the way. Yeah, it is about significance.
yeah, and it's branding, and it's like branding that like makes people feel significant. And like if you can build a brand that gives people significant, you can charge more than everyone else because you're delivering that, you know? So really cool. And I'm excited, dude, to watch you continue to grow it. So you kind of started it in April, and it's February right now, end of February. So how's that first almost year been so far?
But like I said, I feel like I'm just walking on water. Like I keep going back to that. And of course, do I have like bigger revenue goals, and, you know, do I want to bring on, you know, additional people? Absolutely. But just like how things have panned out as they have panned out has just been like the perfect timing. Because like there's already been like some breaks, right? Alex Hormozi always says like you build it until it breaks, and then you figure out how to fix it, and then you build it until it breaks. And I'm super glad that like this hasn't been one of those companies where I posted on social media. You know, I put a lot of time, like my soul, into that content. A lot of money and a lot of preparation to deliver on that, like what I post on social media. And, you know, at first I was like, man, why is this just not like popping off? It's because God's saying, he's like, dude, I am building this brick by brick so that you can handle the breaks now. Because if there are too many breaks, your business is going to go under. And I think so many people are so obsessed with, you know, getting to 10 million and or 3 million, whatever the revenue goal is. And it's too premature. In fact, Alex Hormozi, it's one of my favorite things he's ever said. It was on one of his YouTube videos. And he says, most people, they rush to 3 million so they can never get to 10 million. Like, think about that. Why?
So they don't focus on building the product the best they can, probably.
Well, as you rush to 3 million, you might, and he says most people, if they rush to 3 million, they get to 3 million. But what gets you to 3 million isn't what gets you to 10 million. So you already need to be building it to 10 million or 100 million or a billion. And so again, it's that instant gratification. And there's all these chinks in the armor and all these breaks as you're building to 3 million quickly that you're now like pawning off. Oh, we'll just hire this out. We'll just hire it. But you're not actually internalizing the real issues of the business. And so for me, it's like been really exciting, like with this like organic growth. Like if all of a sudden I just freaking popped off, you know, we're doing 1,000 suits a month, like I wouldn't even know how to sustain that and we'd go under. And so now it's just, again, been this amazing thing where it's like, yeah, we've gone from stage 1 to stage 2, and now we're going into stage 3, and now we're testing right now about 4, there's like 4 or 5 unique models. They're really, really cool. And yeah, I just love that it's just growing as it should, rather than like me forcefully growing something. And of course there's days where I'm like, man, it'd be so sweet to like have more, business and more opportunity, but it's like, it is happening the way that it should.
Wow. What were some of the early struggles that you guys had starting it and getting off the ground?
I'm like pausing because I don't know.
Well, that's good.
like I know that sounds weird, but it's just like, I was in this stage for 2 years out of door to door in this living hell that like all of it's amazing to me. Like all of it's beautiful. And so, yeah, there's like interesting moments where, we've had a few suits we've botched like completely, where it's like, all right, well, we got to figure out how to like still create a raving customer out of this situation. How do we do that? And so there's definitely stresses and frustrations, but I don't see any of it as like, wow, like this big struggle. In fact, it's like fun.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I have somebody coming in at 12 to our shop and I already know like the suit, like the arms are way too big. We do alterations, but it's like, again, navigating just a little thing like that. It's like, it's never happened where it's like twice the size of this dude's arms. And now we're going to have that conversation. Right. So, but I'd say just like, I think the biggest thing, not to say like everything is again, just perfect, but I think it's just wearing as many hats I didn't anticipate. Like being a part of a door-to-door region while like Aptive does the operations and the marketing and all of the nuances behind the scenes to like the tech on the apps to, how to actually place an order.
Customer service. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. Customer service, how to like maintain those customers. Like it is unbelievable the amount of work. So it's true. If you don't actually love what you do, then you won't survive. And that's why like, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do because it just, no matter what comes, I'm just freaking pumped.
I love that.
Like
you're just in it.
Yeah. Because it's just like a process of building the company. Like that's the way I see it rather than like, this is just some traumatic thing that we can't overcome. But yeah, it's like we're stepping into, apps and we're stepping into different models and I'm running, marketing, branding, sales, again, customer relations, making sure the clients, are having these amazing experiences. We do events. It's like right now I'm literally doing everything. We have a few employees, but like for the majority, I'm wearing 20 hats. And that's just something like that I really have reverence for someone like Vess or Todd Peterson or, owners of these companies like that. Maybe they don't get their flowers and people don't really understand because the sales rep doesn't have a perfect experience. They complain about everything. But it's like, if you even knew just the lack of sleep and the amount of effort and how many hats these people have to wear to make sure that this ship just keeps sailing. So anyway, yeah.
No, I love that. So you just have like a new level of respect for entrepreneurs in general and like big business owners. Dude, I love that. And honestly, rooting for you, always have. I think what's cool to see is like, yeah, you connect the dots and also like you thriving in what you're doing right now. Like I see it and I'm just pumped for you, dude. And it's cool too, like to see you use your door-to-door skills, like your sales skills, your network to like get people in suits. Like you've done you're freaking good at it, right? And that's kind of like what you started with, right? Like that's how you got your first couple sales, is just go through your network of like who would want these suits, who would need these suits, how can I connect them to the product, right?
Oh, 100%.
And how can you add value so that they refer other people, right? And deliver a great experience. So I love that. Shifting gears a little bit, dude, the podcast is called Proximity is Power. So I want to ask you, do you believe that proximity is power? And if so, how important has it been to you in your life?
So proximity is 100% power. And, I have gone through bouts in my life where I was in close proximity to people in my childhood that didn't add value and didn't benefit me. And the relationship was very transactional. And, that only has such a long or such a short life cycle. And then I've had periods where, I've been in proximity to people like you and, people at Aptive that I really revered. And, sometimes I feel kind of like in this unique situation right now where I'm not like, but the podcast and the people that like I immerse myself with, like the content that I do absorb, I feel like that has just added so much to my life. And it's created the man that I am. You're not like the person you are without the people in it. And so every person, adds value, whether negative or positive. you know, even if you were in close proximity to this person, you know, for a season, and you know those people still like create some transformative things in your life if you're like willing to like see and hear those things. So anyway, that's a roundabout way of saying yes. I think absolutely, like, it's about the people that are in your life, and like your energy is everything. And so as I age, it is so much more important for me to be in close proximity that create great energy, that want to see me be successful just as I want to see them be successful, rather than like the takers. You know, I think a lot of us are in close proximity to takers because I think there are more takers than there are givers in this world.
Mm.
And like, you're having a hard time, like, separate yourself from the takers and prioritize the relationships that matter, the people that give, and give to them and serve them. And I mean, you can, you know, have a beautiful base to build on and an amazing life that you can have with relationships you really cherish, which that's what it's all about.
I love that. Who were some of your big mentors along the way and why?
I mean, there's various different mentors. You know, it's hard to quantify because, again, it's all about seasons of life. You know, I kind of have like this adopted dad that I really have just immense amount of respect for, in his work ethic and him just being kind of, again, a sounding board. I have like prior bishops in my life that, like, on a spiritual plane, like, they have just granted me so much access to like a higher frequency in things of like, you know, a spiritual nature. And then I've got guys like in the business world. You know, I think we should have mentors in like different facets of our lives. You know, I mean, I must be like religiously following Alex Hermosi right now. Like, I just think this dude is such a giver. And Ed Milet, he's like one of my heroes of my life. One of my like ultimate goals is to suit him. And I have 3 connections where I'm like one person away. So hopefully sooner than later.
That's sick.
But yeah. I mean, and then from athletes, you know, it would be, you know, everybody says it, but like, you know, the Kobe's, the Tom Brady's, and just those mentalities. So I think it's more about like what vertical, like, you should have different mentors for what vertical you're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got spiritual, you've got physical, you've got mental. Like, there's so many different people that you can grasp knowledge from. And so it's hard to say like there's like one specific person, but I'd say that there's probably 50 to 100 people who have like left a very impressionable piece or have built a piece of me.
I love that. Yeah, we're all kind of like I think about grace, and I think about us all like standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, standing on the shoulders of giants that are living today, that are paving the path to get what you want in life. And like, all you got to do is seek them out and learn from them. And also, like, you can learn from anyone. Like, everyone's life is either an example or a warning in some way.
Or another example, right?
Yeah.
The warning is the example.
Yeah. What are some things you wish you would have known before you started your journey?
Like, what part of my journey?
Any of it. Just trust God the whole time.
That's a really good question. Wait, repeat that question.
What are some things you wish you would have known before you started your journey?
I mean, honestly, you know what? I really can't. I keep bringing up this movie analogy, but you know what I can't stand is like the people who like. I've had like a handful of people in my life that I've seen do this, and like they do it often, where they like actually read the script of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's your journey. Like, why would I want the script? Like, why would I want to know everything to it? Like, that takes like the faith, that takes the excitement and the lows and like everything that life has to offer you if you were just given the script. And you should just run with what's happening to you. If you put God first and at the forefront of your heart and your actions, like, let it unfold as it should, and like live less with regret and live more with, you know, excitement of what's going to happen, whether good or bad.
I love that.
Because it's all in the becoming, right? It's all like life is all about the becoming, and you can't become if you already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, dude, I agree for sure. Like, I think if everything you wanted in life was guaranteed, it wouldn't be fun. Like, if you knew exactly what was going to happen tomorrow, next week, next year, 10 years from now, like, it wouldn't be fun. Like, one of the 6 human needs that Tony talks about is uncertainty. And you need certainty of your life. You need to know that you can, you know, you have shelter over your head, you have love, you have food, you know where your next meal is coming from. But you also need uncertainty, variety. You need to feel that and experience that. And the level of uncertainty that you can comfortably live with is the level of is your quality of life. And the more uncertainty that you can live with at any point, the more you'll feel in life and the more life will be fun. So
just to add to that, I do this kind of weird thing where, like, I mean, maybe it's not so weird, but I think it's kind of weird. But if I travel, it's like I literally don't have a hotel. I don't have
just adventurous,
just any plan.
Wow.
Because it's like, dude, if you plan out everything, it's that same concept of just the certainty of all of the adventure, which takes all of the adventure away.
I love that. What are some of your favorite habits? Wait, before you answer that, dude, I agree with you. Like, me and my wife went to Italy for 3 weeks, kind of around the same time you did, like in August. And dude, all we had was the freaking plane tickets purchased. Like, we didn't.
How cool is that?
It was so sick, dude. We'd stay. Like,
you've got a cool wife then, because most wives, they like their plan.
She was a little bit nervous, but she knew I could take care of it. And like, it was so fun because like the cities and the places that we really liked, we stayed longer. We had no idea what restaurant we're going to go to next, what activities we're going to do. And like, we planned it as we go. We went and it was just so fun. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you've got a really cool wife if she's down to do something like that with you.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite habits?
Oh, it's just like, I feel like a lot of them are just like cliches.
Let's hear them.
I haven't even, dude, to be honest with you, I don't even like think about habits now. Like, I don't know if that sounds kind of odd, but I just feel like now it's just like a part of me of like waking up, going to bed. I go to the gym, like no matter what, like I will not miss a single day at the gym. I don't care how my body feels. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I see like younger, like 20 to 22, 24-year-olds and like they're kind of in that phase where like they're developing the discipline. And then once you get to this discipline, like, and you've done it so many times, it's just like a part of you. So I don't really think about like what new habits I should be learning or what. I just feel like, yeah, what I've been consistently doing is what I consistently do now. I don't know if that's like the wrong answer.
No, you're good. No, I get it. It becomes part of you, like your identity, and you just do it. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
What's something you've done that we should all do?
I think you should take time to reflect. I'm like a big reflector, like a deep thinker, and I'm not talking about analysis paralysis. One of my pet peeves people will say to me, like me specifically, is they're like, dude, you're thinking about that too much. And I'm like,
I said that to you a couple of times.
Dude, you're thinking about this too much. I didn't even, I get it so much.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's okay to like think through things and like ponder and meditate. And I mean, that's where you find like knowledge. And I feel like I take time every day to like have real introspection and real accountability to like things that have happened or actions I've taken or not taken. And, but yeah, it's one of my pet peeves because it's like, you know, we walk this thin line of decisions that if you make, you know, even some poor decisions here and there, I mean, it's kind of like a plane, right? If you're like off coordinate by even a degree, you will end up in a completely different country.
Yeah.
Like over time, right? And so anyway, I think that's
like
one
that.
of the bigger things is like take time to like, why are you at where you're at in your life? Why are your relationships going the way that they're going? Why is your business unfolding the way that it is? Or why isn't it? And like asking yourselves these questions. And then one other thing, sorry if I'm taking too much time.
Great. Yeah.
Is, and I'm sure plenty of people have said this on your podcast, but in addition to taking time for introspection is the time to thank God. And when I mean thank God, I don't mean thank him for your family or your friends, unless like that in that core moment is extremely important. But I mean going into the depths of your day specifically. I do this every single day, like religiously, where I if either driving or I will actually park myself at the temple or I'm in my home. And anytime I'm in this like headspace, I mean, it is the cure-all. Like gratitude truly is the cure-all. And the more that you have to be grateful for, the more at peace and the happier you will be. And you will recognize like the comparison and the distractions and the things that like so easily maybe set you off or discourage you are just not really relevant. And you'll realize like how much you truly have and how like there are sprinklings of miracles every single day that you're overlooking. So that's why it's important to have the introspection in this space. Like why aren't these things? It's like everything went well for you today.
Like, dude, I love that. Just counting your blessings, feel grateful for where you're at every day and I feel like the more you find, like you can either focus on what's missing or you can focus more on what's missing or on more on what you have already. And like the people that find joy and like focus more on what they have than what they don't are happier. And like usually more good things come into their life because they're attracting it because they're feeling grateful for what they have, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
And I love what you said too about introspection because I feel like so many people are in a rush all the time and like don't really take time to reflect or like navigate or think about why they are where they are in life, right? Because you really are where you are in relationships, in your career, financially, just because it's been a culmination of decisions you made up until that point. And like most people sometimes just like are running with like their head down and don't even like take time to look up and like really think about what they truly want and like are they on the right path to getting there?
They're just on auto, like most all of us just autopilot.
Yeah.
Oh, I know I want to make money. I know I want to get married.
Yeah.
You know, and they just live in that.
Yeah.
And for most people, they live in it till the day they die.
Sad. Yeah.
And so they don't really know why, you know, this relationship isn't working or why that business venture didn't happen.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to like the victimhood, right? Like when you're in a space of introspection, you have way more to be accountable to rather than just like everything is happening to me. Everything is happening for me, right?
Right. What are 3 books that have impacted you the most and why? And 1 quote.
Oh, this is a good question. Dude, I'm weird. Like I'm weird about books.
You love books.
I do love books. But I was actually thinking about this because I knew you were going to ask me today.
Okay.
I have this weird thing about books where I can't remember them. And like, I'll just get this like subtle, like quote will come out or but like to say I have like a certain book that like is like absolute number 1 is like really difficult. As far as, you know, more recently, I mean, there's just some interesting, like I read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius to, you know, what is that book about war?
Art of War.
Yeah, The Art of War. So I've kind of gotten into these books and kind of had different perspectives. So yeah, it's like difficult to say like which book that I love.
Did you like the Meditations one? I've heard of that. I haven't read it though.
Oh, absolutely.
It's good.
I mean, dude, there's some quotables in there that I can't remember, but
okay, what's one quote that you live by or has impacted you the most? You can think of one.
No. Let me think of one. Let me think of one. Definitely like it's not what happens to you, it happens for you is like a really big one.
Yeah.
I'd say that that's probably like the culmination of my whole life. I'd say that that's probably the bigger one. I'm trying to think of anything other than that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you had the world's attention for 2 minutes, what would you want them to know?
That honestly, like, you have infinite potential and you need to lean into that potential. And you need to lean into everything that you can become. And you should make everything that this life can be, like, you should go for it and do everything that you can to live out God's dream for you. You know, you have your dream, but like if you live out God's dream, it's a bigger dream than you can possibly imagine. It's a way more beautiful dream. So that's what I tell people. Like, stop leaning into your victimhood of, again, why things are not happening for me, and realize like all these things are happening to you so you can live God's dream. You can live this beautiful life with these beautiful people, and there is always going to be another rung you have to get up. And lastly, stop wishing for retirement. Like, what? You're going to get to 50 and 60 and just say, hey, today I die. Today I'm going to go to a beach. Today I'm going to stop living. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why people have as many of these recruits and these reps, one of their main goals is to retire in my 30s. I turned 31 in a week, and I think that is egregious.
It's crazy.
Like, for me to retire right now, I would lose my mind.
I love what you just said, dude. Like, that was probably one of the best responses to that question. Cause like, yeah, I'll just say this on the retirement part.
Yeah.
I went to Italy and Switzerland for 3 weeks. I wanted to die.
You just
Like,
losing your
dude,
mind.
I'm like, if I don't sell something or recruit somebody today, I'm literally gonna blow my brains out. Like, by the end of it, like, I'm like, I never will retire. Like, I'm gonna work till I die. I think the goal isn't to retire. I think the goal should be to get into a financial position where you can work because you want to, not because you have to.
100%.
Because like, I think that should be your first goal. And then once you get to a place where like you, from your investments, it's paying for your current level of lifestyle, then decide like what you want to do. But like the beach, the vacation, like the golfing, that might be fun every day for a week or 2 weeks or a month.
And definitely go on vacation, but yeah.
But not 30 years. Like, you're gonna, like, I think one of my definitions of happiness is growth. Like, growth equals happiness. We're here to progress. We're here to learn. We're here to become all that we can, and we're here to help as many people as we can, right? And so I just feel like, yeah, it's funny when people say, I want to retire by 30. Like, you're going to be miserable if you retire. So, but change the goal and you'll be happier. And then also, like, dude, we have unlimited potential. Like, I asked someone that question. They're like, we're all sons or daughters of a king, and we have unlimited potential. And it's like, you can do anything you want in this life. You can't do everything though. You need to introspect. You need to reflect. You need to figure out what your calling is, what you're here to do, what God put you here to do, and just go attack it. You know? So
No, I love that. Just to piggyback off is like the vacations. Yeah, take your vacation, but like, so many people die way too young. Like, they die and well, they die very young because they just are yearning for this freeing idea that once I can do nothing, I can live. Like, I don't know how that's freeing. Once I can just chill and do nothing, then that's when I'm alive. It's like, no, I'm alive when I'm building and I'm growing and I'm developing, and I hope to never stop that. And I am just so sick when I hear people say that. But also, to your point on the like, get yourself in a place, in a financial position to where you can more fully thrive in your purpose. You know, people do get hindered and they get put in this box of financial dependency to where you can't fully access your potential as a child of God. And so you should use the time that's allotted to you to like build a life to where, I mean, look at all these mission presidents. They are all called and they have some degree of wealth. Like they have now positioned themselves to more fully live their purpose. There's just kind of a thought of mine on that.
Dude, it's interesting. I did one of these podcasts with Brandon Turner. He's the host of the Bigger Pockets, and
I don't know how you pulled that off, but you're a beast.
We're just getting started, bro. Dude, but I talked to him and I kind of talked to him about his life, and he's kind of at this crossroads of like he's made all the money, like more money than he's ever dreamed of, and he's kind of like in this like I'm trying not to call him out or anything, but he's kind of like trying to figure out what's next for him. Like, should he keep pursuing more and more and growing his business more and more and doing all these things? And Tony Robbins kind of answered my like question that I was kind of thinking about. He's like, if you could get closer to God, should you? Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
If you could create deeper relationships with the people that you love in your life, should you?
Absolutely.
If you could learn more, should you?
Of course.
If you could serve more people through your business, should you?
Absolutely.
If you could make more money, should you?
Yes.
It's yes, all the way around. And so I think so many people like think life is about the destination, but it's not. It's about the journey. It's about the progress. It's about the becoming and growing and becoming more. And it's becoming more to serve more, right? And that's the truth. Like, and the day you stop growing in any area of life, whether it's financially, in your relationships, in your physical health, is the moment you start killing yourself. Like you're like you grow or die. Like you're either progressing in one area or you're declining. And so
you're not stagnant. So
I think that was like really interesting perspective, and it kind of changed mine. So, dude,
I'm sure he's just in a place where, you know, it's still a difficult situation, but I see where you're coming from in the sense of like,
and he's way richer, way better off than I am.
It might be kind of hard.
Who am I to tell Brandon what to do
but
next?
It might be.
I was just thinking about that for me. I'm like, if I reached his level, I don't know. Like I can't even put myself in those shoes right now. But I was just thinking about it.
But yeah, like you said, like it's not like this conquest for more solely for more. It's the conquest of like serving and building more relationships and developing yourself and other people at a higher capacity. Mm-hmm. And as he builds his business, he continues to do that at a higher level.
Yeah.
As we continue to do that for ourselves.
And I kind of told him, I'm like, dude, the books that you've made, the podcasts you released, the businesses you've created have blessed my life. Like I got so many rental properties because of him and what he taught. And I felt confident and certainty buying these because of his teachings. And I'm like, dude, the more you level up, the more everyone in the world is leveling up that follows you. And so like, thanks for all you've done. And I know there's more in you. Like I kind of challenged him, but dude, this has been such a fun podcast. Like I literally, when I made the podcast, I made a list of people and like, you were one of the names that come up. I've always like looked up to you and we've always vibed, I feel like, and I'm just pumped to see you in your passion and just doing it, bro. Like,
dude, I really appreciate that. And I just want to say like how proud I am of you, from this like 19-year-old kid that sold like 100 accounts to like this freaking real estate guru, this amazing podcast, this organization you're building. Like, dude, it's amazing.
Thanks,
like you should be really proud of yourself.
We're just getting started, both of us.
Every time I'm done, we're just getting started.
I actually heard a quote that was really cool. It's the first 30 years of your life, you learn. The first 30 years of your life, you learn. The second 30 years of your life, you earn. And the last 30 years of your life, you burn.
Well, dude, I'm finally hit that second half. So.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Dylan?
You can just find me at Mr.Dylan Blake on Instagram, on Facebook. And you can also follow my brand, just Dylan Blake Customs on Instagram.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
If you're in the market for a suit, hit him up because there's no one that does it better that I've seen. So
Thank you.
Also, like, yeah, dude, this has been such a fun podcast, and we'll have to run it back in a year or two and see where things are at. Like, I know you're one of those guys, like, I've talked about this on other podcasts, but like, there's a level of hunger, and like, dude, you're like max hunger level. Like, I feel like there's only few of us out there, but like, dude, you got it, and I know you're just getting started. So,
dude,
just
you
obsessed,
too, bro.
obsessed.
You too, absolutely.
Yeah. Mama mentality, baby, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for listening. If you got value, share it with a friend. And until next time, peace.